And we continue with our instructional video series entitled Signed and Committed, a effort on our behalf to create one of these guys here, a big old celebratory poster for Koa Poncho, leading to hopefully other posters for other athletes and students here at Newport High School in our attempt to celebrate their accomplishments and who they are and what they've accomplished. And Koa is number one. We're going to move on with other athletes and possibly other students who have other talents, maybe in music, performance, academics, but we're going to start with Koa. If you would like a fuller explanation as to what the motivation was or is behind this project, you can watch the first installment of this video series, the Introduction to Signed and Committed. It'll explain who Jake Wiley is and where that poster came from and why we're doing what we're doing. Part two, the first installment, part one, after the introduction, helps you configure your canvas, open up a new project. The next part, part two, creating your background. And we just finished part three, inserting and editing pics in your project. Speaking of that project, this is what we've been working on here. This is a completed version of the project. To this point, we are up to this point where we have Koa inserted, edited. We started with that and edited the background so that all that's left is just Koa. And he is in front of the background that we created in part number two, entitled Creating Your Background. In this installment, it's a new day. I've got a new shirt on, same hat, but a new part. Part number 4, creating and inserting PNGs. PNGs, we may not actually be creating PNGs, but we will be inserting a couple. We've already gone through the process of what's necessary to create PNGs, and for all intents and purposes, to give you a quick explanation of what a PNG is. A PNG is a file that does not include any of the background. So it is an image file that does not include any background or anything around the image itself. So when you place a PNG in another project, you get this effect where you don't see any of the background around the individual or the focus of that image. Instead, you can place that image on top of another layer and you get a transparency. There's just nothing there. So we basically, for all intents and purposes, created a PNG when we edited this picture, this image of Koa, and we got rid of all of the background so that this is all that remains. If we truly wanted it to be a legitimate PNG, we would then isolate, just that, and notice you see the checkerboard. Whenever there's a checkerboard, that means there's nothing there. At this point, if we wanted to save this image as a PNG file, we could do so. We could go to File, Save As, and separate from our Photoshop file of the larger project, we could take this image of Koa Poncho, desktop, where are we in our signed, and down here where it says Format, instead of a Photoshop format, we could scroll down to PNG and save Koa. We'll even put it in this folder. How's that? As a PNG. It's doing its work. I'll say yep. Now, if we were to go to that signed folder, we would be able to find that file specifically, and it would contain nothing else except an image of Koa with nothing surrounding it, just exactly like it looks right there. But it's still doing its business and it's working. It's trying to accomplish that. That's why we have the spinning pinwheel. it's thinking, and it shouldn't be taking so long for that to do its thing. But anyway, if we were to create and save a legitimate PNG by itself, that would be the method by which we would do that. Today, we are going to take pre-existing PNGs and we are going to insert them into our project. Our project, as of this point, consists of a background that we created and Koa Poncho, where we eliminated all of the background, created a PNG, and then inserted it appropriately. Just to see if we have the placement and the scale correct, I'm going to click on our completed project, boom, and you can see there's very little variation between where Koa is placed in our original completed project and the one we're working on. Boom. The scale is almost identical, not quite. When I click between the two windows, there is just a little bit of shifting of where Koa is, and I don't know if that's because of the scale just being a 0.1% off, or maybe the placement of Koa being just a little bit off. But it's really, really, really close to being identical. Okay. Today, in this step number 4, part number 4, creating and inserting PNGs, we are going to insert the action photo of Koa, the image of the Newport Grizzly traditional logo, the NCAA logo, and we might even get to the Whitworth's Pirates logo as well. So, in order to do that, this is rather simple. We will go to our folder that I already have this information saved in. Go into my Koa folder. And we'll minimize that. We don't need to see that right now. We just want to see our existing project. And the first thing we want to do is go look for the NCAA PNG. There it is right there. So if this works correctly, I should be able to just click, drag, and drop it right into our project. There it is. I'm going to grab a corner, hold down on Shift, so that as it modifies in size or scale, it'll be proportionate. I will move it to where I would like it. And I'll say that's good for now. Now, compared to our original one, ooh, it's a little bit bigger. So if we wanted to, we could modify the scale. Make sure that I'm going to rasterize that layer so it is able to be edited. Make sure that layer is selected. Choose my Move tool. So yes, I can move it. That means I'm able to adjust it. Edit. Transform, which is Photoshop's fancy way of saying change, transform or change the scale or size. And once again, I can grab a corner, hold down on the Shift, and as it modifies, I can try to adjust it accordingly. Okay, edit, transform, change the scale or size, hold down the Shift, I'll do that, I'll say OK. So it's going to be somewhere in that corner. It's pretty close to the... close enough. I'm going to be happy with that. So there's the NCAA button. It is positioned. I'll save that. Now, let's go try to find the grizzly bear, the traditional Newport High School grizzly bear. I believe that is inside of Koa's... There it is right there. The story behind this grizzly bear, it's called Mix Grizz Logo, at least on the files in my computer. The reason why it's called Mix Grizz Logo is because this particular logo was created, designed by Mick Schultz. Mick Schultz is a legend, an absolute, unbelievably fantastic individual, man of character, Korean War veteran, grew up in Pend Oreille County, graduated from Cusick, and he came to Newport. And in his 30-some years at Newport, he was our athletic director, our art teacher. He was personally offered an opportunity to become an illustrator for Walt Disney. He turned that down so that he could raise his family here in Pend Oreille County. Just an absolutely amazing man, and you will not find this Grizzly logo anywhere else. He created it specifically for Newport, so therefore I do have a little bit of a sentimental connection to it. This is the original hand-drawn version. It has been scanned and digitized from one of his hand renderings. I'm going to click on it, see if it will drop into our project. There it is. It looks a little pixelated, and I think I explained in a previous video why that is. Photoshop, InDesign, the Adobe products, and it's easier to manipulate, move, resize, scale, and adjust and transform figures coming into the project when they are not at their full capacity. I can't think of the right word to use right now. But as soon as you get the scale and the size and the position where you want it, and click the check mark, notice that it changes to its full definition. So I paused there momentarily. I was interrupted, pleasantly so. Teacher Appreciation Week here at, well, nationwide in the United States. I believe Tuesday or Wednesday was actual Teacher Appreciation Day. Here in Newport School District, they drag it out for an entire week, and I'm not complaining. And for Teacher Appreciation Week, today, Thursday, we get free coffee. And it's not just coffee. It's a vanilla hazelnut breve. For those of you who don't know what that is, you're missing out. So, thank you very much. That's awesome. So, where was I? Oh, yeah. Mick Schultz, Grizzly Bear, Newport High School logo. There it is. Let's see what it looks like in comparison to where the other one is placed. Oh, pretty close. Pretty close. Let me make sure it is chosen. Don't necessarily have to rasterize it. And I'll move it just a smidge down there. Let's see how that... Ooh, that's pretty close. If anything, it's maybe just a little bit smaller than what it should be. So I'm going to go to File, Transform or Change the size or scale. Hold down the Shift button, grab a corner, and make it just a smidge bigger. And then I'm going to move it right there. Let's see. That's pretty darn close. I'm going to call that good for now. Okay? So, there we have placed two pre-existing, pre-created PNGs. The NCAA logo and the Mick Schultz Newport High School Grizzly logo. What can we do now? We can also place, let's look at our original image, we can place the action photo of Koa, and this was already pre-created as well from a project back in the fall, and it was a cover for a football program at a football game. This is what the cover looked like ultimately, and we got that cover from this photo. We took, in fact, I think this was a Jason Ducho photo. Jason Ducho, a professional photographer in the Priest River and Newport areas, an amazing talent and a very, very gracious individual. He allows me to take some of his photos occasionally. This is one of them, I believe. The Priest River Newport game, first game of the season. And from this photo, we put a little bit of a blur effect on it. Then we took Koa by himself, once again, using those selection tools and deletion tools and those effects and skills to create basically a PNG. And we allowed Koa to be unfiltered on top of the filtered version. So once I took that unfiltered version and put it on top of the filtered version, it created clarity with him while creating distress or distortion around him. The effect here was to put focus on Koa. Of course, on that particular program, we also threw in a running back. But Koa is who we're looking for here, because this image is what we're going to use to insert into our project. Now, a way to do this, and I'm showing you this so that as you are engaged in Photoshop projects and you think back to, oh, I did that already. I used that photo in a previous project. Where was that photo? Do I have to edit the darn thing all over again? No, you don't. This is what you do, and this is pretty simple. I'm no Photoshop expert. I just do what I've been told and what I've been shown. And a Photoshop expert actually showed me how you separate the windows. And if you want this to be in there, the first thing you do is you simply separate the windows. You grab that layer over here in the Layers panel, click, drag, and drop it, boom, into your project. It's as simple as that. It's already been edited, it's already been turned into a PNG, and now that it is in our project, I can also merge those windows back together. Now that it is in our project, all that I simply have to do is make sure that that layer is selected, use my Move tool, and I can start to adjust it wherever I like. Now, our finished product shows that it is in the lower left-hand corner. I purposely put it in the lower left-hand corner, whoops, wrong one, with his cleats on the bottom and the side, almost so that it would appear as though that he is standing on a surface there. And from this point, I can edit or transform the scale or size. I'm going to grab the corner, hold down Shift, and I'm going to make him however big I think he should be there. For now, I'm going to say that's okay. And I'm going to compare that with the original, the completed, I should say, not the original. And he's just a little bit smaller in scale. So Let me adjust it just a little bit more. Edit, transform or change the scale or size. I'm going to hold down Shift, grab the corner, and move it up just a little bit more. Now let's see how that compares to the original. Oh my goodness, that's just about perfect. So we're going to call that good for now. So Koa is placed. As you click back and forth between one and the other, you'll notice that the original, I keep saying the original, I mean the completed version, Koa is not at full opacity. That's a simple adjustment. Make sure that layer is chosen. Adjust the opacity. We'll go down to, I don't know, what is that, 60%? Is that the same? Oh boy, that's so similar. I'm going to call that good. So 60% opacity on Koa. One thing I don't like here is that if I compare the completed with the one we're working on, Mix Bear is kind of hidden behind Koa. So let's grab that layer and move it up so that it is at the front and it is not distorted at all by Koa. So at the moment, we have placed 3 PNGs in our project, and we're getting ever so closer to our finished product. The only thing that we have left, whoops, wrong one. We placed the NCAA, we placed Mix logo, we placed Koa. The only thing we have left now are titles, our banner here, this other logo from Whitworth, and our other text elements. Those are the last couple portions of this project that we have left. I will separate those into a couple parts. We will not get to them in this part, and we'll call what we've done for now, we'll call that good. So up to this point in review, we introduced you to this project. In part 1, we configured or created our canvas. Part 2, we created a background. And what did that background look like? Okay, that's the background that we created. In part number 3, we inserted and edited a picture of Koa Poncho. That is the unedited version. Once we did some editing, it ended up looking like that. And then in this last part, part number 4, we created and inserted some PNGs, including Mix Bear, a action photo of Koa, and the NCAA logo. Part 5 comes your way next.